5-star award, 5-star trip winners. Got from started the business and got the executive in 9 months. We're gonna look to hit $1 million in earnings any day now. If you look on the 5-star trip results, I just want you to take a look at the 5-star contest. If you go underneath the contest, click on points. It is absolutely astonishing. They are the #1 executive team in the business. We're lucky enough to have them in our backyard. When I say lapping the field, #2 is not even close. They're featured with John Maxwell in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Energy, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Ambient Energy. Number 15, the Law of Momentum. If anybody has a chance, I strongly suggest you listen to Kim and Jackson. Unbelievable interview. John Maxwell, who's world renowned, so if he's going to get involved in this business, he'd want to be on Kim and Jim's team. So sorry, I had to state it as my one time in fame where I get to introduce Kim and Jim. With no further ado, to train us today for the next couple hours, Kim and Jim Mason, Executive Consultants.
You know, when he goes through those accolades or whatever, sometimes we don't even really think it's us. Because we've just been doing this business for 3 years. So what we want to instill in you guys today is you can take this business and you can create whatever you want with it. Nobody's going to put a lid on you or stop you. You can determine just how much money you want to make and really how many people you want to help. And this business has been an absolute journey for us. What we're going to do today, this is kind of a personal training. This isn't like, we're going to be doing a great big team training, which we're going to talk to you guys about near the end. I want all of you guys to be at March 22nd. There'll be several hundred people there. But this is a chance for you guys just to ask us questions, and we really want to delve into this and make sure you guys have the fundamentals down. And we're going to show you exactly what we're doing and what teams all over Ambit are doing and getting a lot of success with that. I think there's pizza a little bit later, and then after the pizza, we're going to do a Q&A. Is that right, Tony?
Yeah, I got 3x5 cards. Everybody's gonna have one, and then we're gonna be able to write a question out for you guys. And I'll field it to you guys, okay?
Perfect.
One of the overriding thoughts in this business is keep it simple. Keep it simple so it duplicates. And I was listening to an audiobook the other day, and it said something about a company called National Cash Register. And they started out real simple. They were growing like crazy, and their training manual got up to 200 pages. And as that happened, their success ground to a halt. Very difficult to put all that information into somebody and then send them out and try to create success, especially in a business that's based on not only multiplying, but duplicating very rapidly. So the overall theme here is keep it really simple. And to start out, we're going to talk a little bit about the fundamentals, the written list, and your why. If you have a big enough why, you won't have to figure this out. People are looking for an idea and figuring it out. I want you to think about it. A lot of people plan their trips and then they wait for all the green lights to get ready. It'll never all be green. And fear says, I got to figure it out before I do anything. There's people that get in this business and sponsor 8 people in a day. They didn't figure anything out. It was enthusiasm. They were excited about it, and they were telling people, look at this. And they got in. Get back closer to that as quick as you can, rather than all the stuff. We're going to teach you some phrases. And you're going to go, oh, I wish I knew how to say that. Say that again. Get excited about what you have your hands on and get this in front of people.
I do want you guys to be really excited. Think about the day you first started your business. There is something magical going on right now in Ambit. I think we're nearing what I would call a tipping point. I really think that within the next year, things are just going to come unglued as Ambit goes into New Hampshire, goes into Virginia, launches some more markets here in the fall. It is just really getting to the point where people are getting in and getting it done. And what Jim said is really, really true. We were just working with a gentleman down near Pittsburgh, between Pittsburgh and Erie. He went senior in 2 months, didn't even know who he was, except all of a sudden I just kept seeing this name popping through. And this is just to show you how you can really build this not having all the information. He stood up when he went regional at a business presentation, and he started talking to everybody in the room as a regional consultant and telling them what he did wrong. And he had stacked one person, he didn't know what that was, and now he learned you're not supposed to place people. This was in his regional code. We're sitting there as this VP, you guys can imagine. There's like 15 guests in the room, and we're going, okay, Dan, you can sit down. But the point is, he got in, he got excited, he knew there was money to be made here. We talked to him, he's been calling us now almost literally every day, I'd say, calls us once or twice a day now. He's a senior consultant, he is on track, he's been to a big training, he's been to a team training, and he's registered for Power Trip. He's done that in 2 months' time. His belief has gone from not knowing anything to really knowing what he's got his hands on. What I want you guys to think of as we go through this and as you build your business, everything you do needs to be done with duplication in mind. If you're doing something and it's taking you a long time to do it, it's not going to be duplicated. It's not going to be cause multiplication to occur. When we were working through our business when we got started, what you just saw for the presentation was a PowerPoint. I remember Brian McClure and Steve Thompson, number 1 and number 2 income earners at that time, basically within a week of time period, we had seen them. They both said, "You guys stop what you're doing." We were sponsoring people, but nobody else was doing it because that's too confusing.
That ever happened to you?
This system needs to be one where everybody can just take it and run with it. What do we do, guys? What are the 2 things we do? Does it say in there, I gotta make a 63-page starter packet, I gotta collate it and bind it and make 15 of them, cost about $15. I gotta get every single training video lined up and ready to go. I gotta drive 3 hours and train my
I gotta set up my office.
I gotta set up my office, I gotta order all my, we don't have to do all that to be successful here. Guys, we're running $1 million business off our kitchen table. Our house looks like we're a tornado.
No, off your lap. You just gotta relax out in your car. More often than not, there's no table in our car.
Yeah, we're running it out of our car, and we're running it out of our kitchen table. You don't have, this is so unlike a traditional business. We were talking to a group yesterday, and I don't know if you guys have been in other networking businesses, but the differences here are profound. I didn't know anybody when we were doing our other networking business that was free. I didn't know anybody that was able to quit their job. I didn't know anybody that I could really talk to that had made a lot of money. They were all like unapproachable. There were like 5 figureheads, and they were flashed by us. And if we're lucky, like Jim says, we could already point, oh, there's Rick Renslow's house. Let's take a picture of us driving by his house. That was the closest you could get to somebody who had created success. But we all believed that there was a way out there, a way that we could create some sort of financial freedom or financial success for ourselves. And eventually, we got really disillusioned. And that disillusionment is what's been carried out into society by most of Americans. Disillusioned with all the other networking companies, disillusioned with their jobs, disillusioned with their kids, disillusioned with society. We're the beacon of hope here, guys. This is not us, but all of us. We, all of us, are we have a vehicle here.
We need to transfer that belief into other people. We need to show them how to do it and do it with them and for them until they have that belief that they can transfer.
There are people right and left. If you go to the Buffalo business presentation, the Pittsburgh, the Erie, Albany, Rochester, everywhere that have success. At every single one of those meetings, somebody stands up and they're done working. That doesn't happen in the other meetings. You guys can decide if you want to work forever because you love your job. That's fine.
We hear that every once in a while. There's one person in the crowd. They love their job. And the question under that is, would you do it for free? And it kind of takes that person out too. It's like they're bribing you with money or you won't show up. Period.
So there's a jump start. We're not going to do a jump start training here today. We want to really dig into what's working. But I do want to make sure, who has watched the jump start training in Ambit University? Who hasn't watched it?
Don't raise your hand.
Steve Thompson and Raymond, everybody needs to just watch that tonight. That's the basic jumpstart training. That's what we did in Buffalo before the meeting a week or so ago. That's what you see before every business presentation. And those are the fundamentals of, the structure of how we build this business. It can be taught in about 40 minutes. The basic 7 fundamentals. Having a pretty strong line, having a written list, invitation, presentation, validation, all of that. I want you guys to watch that 3-way call. We are going to show you some of that in action, but what we want to start with is the second fundamental. The first is your list. I'm not going to spend time on that, except to say you all need a written list.
You need to add to it all the time. It needs to be growing. You need to start meeting people all the time. There's a couple books around that. How to win friends and influence people.
Anytime Jim says a book, you should write that down.
How to have confidence and power, and how I raise myself fundamental people skills books, and that'll get you out there having those conversations. How to win friends and influence people, how to have confidence and power in dealing with people, how to raise myself from failure to success in selling, and I'll take it further. Listen to it on audio or get books around learning how to be more effective in your interactions with people.
You can download Audible and put it in your car and then listen to the books while you're driving and basically turn your car into a little college classroom. And I'll just tell you, Jim's really crazy. He takes those Audible books and he turns them up to 2x. So I sound like I'm in chipmunks in the car, but he wants to get it in faster.
Well, they talk too slow.
So what we're going to talk about first here, guys, is the invitation. Everybody in this room needs to learn how to invite people to take a look at this business. If you can't master the invitation, then you'll never get anybody in front of this and you'll never make any money. The invitation is the most crucial part of your business. You become a master inviter. You'll never have to be a master presenter, and we're going to show you that. But you do have to learn how to invite people. And you're inviting them not to join. See, that's the thing all of us think when we get started. We got to go get that person in our business. You're not inviting them to join. You're inviting them to take a look. Your only job is to get this business in front of people and then let them decide. How many of you, when you were invited to look at this, and just be honest, the first time, like Jim said, he knew Greg was coming over to get him in something and he had already made up his mind.
We had gotten them into Amway, and I figured he was coming over to get even with me.
How many of you knew you were not going to do whatever it was you were getting ready to go look at?
And how many of everyone just saw it and knew this was what you were looking for? I noticed a couple things, some videos going here. I would just ask, please don't post this anywhere. You're welcome to use it for whatever you want. Just
Yeah, we'll post it. Because we don't always know what comes out of our mouth.
I don't be live on the big screen anywhere.
So let's talk about the invitation
Okay,
first.
we're going to talk about the invite. And Ray Monty does a great job in 205. There's a whole bunch of scripts in there, scripts for coworkers, scripts for friends and family, and they sound like scripts, feel like scripts, but they're not you. I will tell you, as you start this part, it is a really very important part, and it's funny because as we have different parts of this, we tell you this is the most important part, and the next part, this is the most important. They're all important, but this one in particular takes more people out than probably any other area. And I love telling stories because I think it gives people a mental picture. So I'm just going to pick on your. If I hired you for $50,000 a year, and I'm going to preface this with a question, you're pretty certain Kim knows how to show this. She could do a good job showing for you, and you're pretty sure the video wouldn't make a mistake ever, right? Okay, so if I hired you and I paid you $50,000 a year, and all I wanted to do was book the calendar, and if Kim wasn't available, we push buttons. We got that part covered. You're just booking appointments for us. That's all we want you to do. There's a catch there. If you say one word about deregulation, energy just started, opportunity, you do good at, or any of the other blah, 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 I'm not interested in stuff, you're fired. Would you take that time? 50,000. Hey, I got a business idea. Who's your Friday? Everybody would. Would there be any fear? It's my list. You don't care about them, whether they're interested or not. I'm showing them $1 billion idea. All of a sudden, we drag failure into it. In other words, what if we fail? What are my friends going to think? And all of a sudden, there's fear. Get past it. All you're doing is focusing on the point. You understand it? There is no fear of failure. I'll even let you put a few of your friends down, and all of a sudden, we're nervous because we're calling our friends. This business, you get a box, and we're the variable. There is no fear here. There is no failure here. You can grow and change it. The business is all in how you think about what you're running into. And for a lot of people, they internalize it, they run back to what they've always done. Too uncomfortable to really do it. So as we talk about the invite, I want you to understand there's no failure. The shorter it is, you're calling for booking appointment. If I was calling you, how many of you have heard this? Is this a pyramid deal? If I called you up, I said, hey Joe, are you home now? Great, I'm coming over. And he asked me, is this one of those pyramid deals? Where would that come from? I want you to realize something you said said, ask me if this is one of those pyramid deals. You set yourself up for it, boom, right out of the park. They got you. You're done. And then you go in this defensive posture rather than booking the appointment, which is all you call for. So your friends are the worst. They're almost impossible because they've been jerking you around your whole life. So when you call up your friend and you say, listen, I got a business idea I want to run by you. Tuesday or Friday, what works better? That's out a little bit further. But your closest friends, hey, are you home now? I'm coming over. We had a lady the other day, she said, I couldn't do that to any of my friends. Listen, you should come and get some new friends. Think about it. I mean, do you have anybody in your sphere of influence that you can just like show up and say, turn on the TV, I got something I need to show you. Jam that CD in there and push play. What about your mother? Where's your practice on that closest sphere of influence?
And our closest sphere of influence, just so you guys know, they didn't join us in business, but they have, some of them now have. But when we got started, they all told us, no, you just have to get a thick skin here. Once you really realize what you've got your hands on, it's not going to matter. You are going to get, like Jim said, they're going to jerk you around the nose. So your invitation to the people who you call in the middle of the night when you have a flat tire, the one who watches your kids, one kid when he's sick, and the other one when you're taking it to the hospital, the person is your mother, your brother, your sister, your aunt, it's just like you would invite them to look at something before. You've got something you want them to take a look at, and that's all you're going to say, and that's how you're going to get through them. The other thing you're going to do with that closest sphere of influence is you're going to do a home show. We're going to talk about that in a minute. You're going to bring them all over at once and get them all done at once. The reason you want to do that is if you have 3 sisters, 2 aunts, an uncle, and a brother that all live in that town, and you go show your brother, and he doesn't think it's a good idea.
He is speed dial everybody else on your list and blowing them out for you.
Within 12 hours, your whole entire family knows you're in one of those pyramid schemes. Nobody's going to look at it. So bring them in as a group and get the family and the closest friends and neighbors on the block, get them all done at once. And you're going to find a few runners, hopefully, out of that group there.
Abbott asked a real good question, and it was about market saturation. In other words, you might, if you've done this enough, run into people who recognize that dialogue is, oh, somebody called me about Abbott, that's what they said. So the question is, is it saturated? What if they say, is this that Abbott thing? Yes, it is. What do you know about it? And then listen, do you know anything else? And whatever they're doing is not what we're doing. We're on a sponsor group, but so. But I mean,
that's the kind of stuff we don't want on that video.
There's a better way to say it. I always like to say, have you seen it from anybody that's making money? Because the people I'm working with are very successful. I want you to see what they're doing. And then if anybody calls you, obviously you've heard about it a few times. There must be a reason why these people are calling you. I want to show you what we're doing, and then you'll be able to say, I've seen it from somebody. I'm either in or I'm not interested. Fair enough? And I love that fair enough because it's an affirmative answer you're going to get. And if they don't want to see it still, most people who say they know about Ambit don't know about it. They heard about it, or they saw a very, very ill-conceived, poorly presented presentation. We're doing something different.
The invitation is not the presentation, and that's what we want to stress here. You're not there to talk about saving money on gas and electric, energy deregulation, Jerry and Chris, or any of that. You're just there to book an appointment. How many of you are starting your invitations like this? Hey, who's your electric provider? How many of you started it like that? And you tell them, oh, I got a way you can save money. I got to show you something. Automatically, their defenses are up. And the other thing, what you've done is you set something in motion there where if he does join, he thinks he's got to go after everybody who's the electric provider. That's kind of like I feel like that's a safe way to get in to show this business. Are we out to gather customers? No. We're out to help people change their lives. Set up points of distribution across the whole country. You don't gather a handful of customers. You only need 20.
The customers are a fallback. The customers are a fallback. There's a lot of businesses, even within Ambit, that focus on gathering customers. It's a fallback over time. You don't need them overnight. I wish they changed the plan to, I'm going to recruit an army of consultants, recruit a bigger army of consultants. The fallback is we're all going to be wealthy because we gather a few customers, including ourselves along the way. And we don't need 20 right.
So the invitation, like I said, short, sweet. It's not the presentation. When you make an invitation, stand up. you guys might not realize, but you talk more excitedly when you're standing up. I was talking to Ben's wife the other day, Ashley. She's so funny. She says, I'll do my invitation when I've got Landon grabbing my leg and I'm just got Rylan on my shoulder and I'm stirring dinner on the stove. Then I'm going to call somebody because I am in a hurry. You know,
Where's Ben?
That's right here. He's doing his own for me.
Not watching the kids?
But the point is, do your you want to do your invitation so that you are in a hurry with a sense of urgency. But the main thing you got to do is be excited. So when you do an invitation, don't use the word just started. There's a couple videos out that say I just started a part-time energy business. Don't say that, or a part-time business. Just say I've got a business. I have a business
I'm in a
idea I
position
want to run
to
by
expand the
you.
number of business ideas. I like that.
When you get started, what do? Come back and one new good, right? Tell me about it later.
I want you to know every single word you say has meaning to it, and their mind will go somewhere on it and play a little game with people. But if I knock on or you knock on the door and I say, "Come on in," that's an invite. It's very concise. We're all clear, and everybody's 3 words. Come on in. If you pull the library book off the shelf and none of them had any titles, you flip it open word by word by word. You're starting to make a decision whether you're interested or not. The people you're sharing this with are doing the same thing, word by word by word. Every word you say makes a difference. Knock on the door, come on in. If I say, come on in, I'm not dressed, your mind goes somewhere, and your hand stops at the knock. Maybe not. If you knocked on the door, and I said, come on in, and I wasn't dressed, that's a presentation. Just an invite, it's a presentation. Now, the crazy part is, what I really meant to say, and what you're meaning to say is you got a business idea you want to run by. What I meant to say was, I'm not dressed. What I meant was, you know, my time. You guys are picture wrinkly, old. Just don't set yourself up. If they're asking you questions, you're asking for them. If you turn it over to them in that process, you're done. They're in control of it. I drag it back as quickly as you can. That's a great question, but before I answer that, what works better, Tuesday or Friday? That's what we're going to go over. We'll answer that when we go over it on Wednesday. And if you do enough of these, they'll get a lot more comfortable, and if you're in charge of it, you'll start booking a lot more appointments.
When you're working with people that are in the community, the professionals that you're working with, you know, just have a conversation with them, pay them a compliment, tell them why you value their opinion because they've been so successful in X, Y, and Z. I just want to run this business idea by you. You might not be interested in it, but I would really like your opinion. So by saying you might not be interested in it or it might not be anything you'd be interested in, takes all the pressure off. They're realizing, oh, he's not out here to like get me, he just wants to run it by me. That's a key phrase to let them know, because not everybody is interested in it. We don't know who's going to run with it or who's not. So you might not be interested in it, but I sure like to run it by you. You might know somebody I should be talking to. How about we grab a cup of coffee Tuesday at 10 or after work Sunday at 3 or something like that. You know, what you're talking about. So those are invitations. One of the people that we work with, he always says, I got the numbers I want to run by you.
I'm working on a project. I want to just touch on a few things. Part of what we're doing here, and you're scribbling away trying to get it so you can make it your words. Those are rote mechanical scripts words. If you say this enough, you'll figure out what fits in each one of them, and it's different for your closest family or friends. The next part of this is the thought process behind it. This is fundamental. You're booking an appointment, that's part of it. But really, you're staffing a store. You own a business. How many business owners? We all own a business. And today, we're staffing a store because we want it to be productive and earn money. So you just bought a Tim Hortons, and you got a stack of resumes, and you're going through the resumes, and 5 of those people tell you they're not interested in working for business. And you all go boo-booing back to the bank and say, here's $400,000 back, we won't work for us. This is $429, so it's really easy to do that. The truth is you're staffing a store, and most of the people in that stack don't qualify. Imagine calling your brother-in-law and says, oh, I'm not interested in that, and you say, that's okay, I know you couldn't do it anyway. What's he going to think? All of a sudden, there's a challenge there. And you might get back to later, but if somebody's asking you questions, say, listen, this is probably not a good time. I've got 2 other people, but I thought of you first. Again, that's psychology. That's posture. So you're talking about the rope mechanical words, you're talking about the thought process. Now we're talking about posture. be in a rush. That's posture. Take it away. You're limited in your time and resources to work with somebody that may not be productive. Have you ever, this is a wonderful feeling, somebody jerking you around in a one-on-one, shut the computer and say, listen, this isn't going to work for you. And get out of there. If you were only allowed to bring 20 people in, there's multi-levels where you're only allowed to bring 20 people in, would you be talking to them in the first place? For the most part, no, because we tend to sponsor down because our self-image is intact. If this person, wherever they are in life, I can handle that. But if my doctor says this is a dopey thing, oh my God, I'm crushed. The people we're working with make $500,000 a month. There isn't anybody you can put this in front of that wouldn't want to make $500,000 a month. And they're ready, willing, and able to help us. Bless you.
The people that you're showing it to, if they are successful, when they tell you no, it's very polite. They tell you in a very gracious way, they wish you luck. The people who aren't so successful in life, when they tell you no, they try to make you feel like crap. There's a big difference.
Or psychology.
So you guys just get out there. We're going to practice this invite for a minute. I don't want you to use the word just started. I don't want you to use the word opportunity, and I definitely don't want you to say you'd be really good at this. Because when you're saying you'd be really good at this, it sounds kind of needy. Like, you're really needy to get them to get you into. You'd be so good at this. I know you're going to love it.
You're selling something before they know what they're buying. It's
So,
like the video with 429 on it.
I want you
The
to
wall
think
comes down.
about something that works for you. Before we practice this invite, how many of you have done an invitation, you think you did it good, you're trying to set an appointment, and they're saying, I'm not going to do anything till you tell me what it is. What is it? Tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. Like Jim said, you can use posture, you can take it away. Listen, I thought of you first, but I got 2 other people I want to talk to. It's obviously it's not a good time
Or
for
it's
you.
mostly visual, or repeat what you said, like I said, it's a business idea. There's a lot of ways these conversations can go.
If they push you, and you feel like you want to say something, everybody knows what the 3 questions are, right? How many people do you know who use gas and electric? Do you think they like to pay less or potentially get it for free? How would you like to make thousands of dollars by referring people to that program? Now, when you guys first get those 3 questions, I know when we got them, they sounded just like questions, and I had them written down, and I was trying to figure it out, and it just wasn't working. I couldn't make it flow like it was what I would normally say. So what I say now, if I want, I don't always say this, but if someone's pushing, we'll say something like, I help people save money on their gas and electric. Some of them get it for free, and we get paid on it for the rest of our life. 1 sentence, 3 questions. And that works really well. Usually they're like, what do you get? What do you got? So when you get to the end of and I get paid on it for the rest of my life, that's what I want to talk to you about. Sunday at 10, Tuesday at 3. So you're going to go right into booking that appointment. You are not given any more than that. That's what Brian McClure calls salting their oats. And you have to think of ways to salt their oats without giving a lot of information.
Tell me what you do for a living. Tell me what you do for a living.
Work for him?
I help people save money.
It just comes out. We were sitting in a restaurant up in the airport, and at the same minute, 2 people, completely unrelated, said, "What's that?"
We
We looked at it and went, what do we do for a living? We still get caught short. We were at a restaurant a couple weeks ago, and the owner came in, and this guy is really on the ball, got a lot going on. We knew instantly, we got to talk to him. We've heard little stories about this guy. He was a shaker. So he came in, and you could tell, man, why we got to get all this. Kim engaged, I was talking to a couple of professors there, and pretty soon the conversation swung around to me, and I was only half listening to that because I was thinking,
Before you tell about what you said, when he says Jim engaged, when he says I engaged him, I kept in my mind this little acronym called FORM. Family, Occupation, Recreation, Meeting. I found out where he was from, who his family was.
in those first books.
It is in the books you read. You got to learn that conversation with people. I found out what he did. He didn't just own his restaurant. He was starting 2 other restaurants. He had a big credit repair company. I found out a lot about him. I found out what he liked to do for fun. And in that process, I heard him say that he needed more time and he wanted to get rid of 2 of the other, he has like 4 businesses. 2 of the other
Let's sell the
businesses.
restaurants that they came up and running.
In that conversation, he told me that at 48, he had gone back and got his master's degree, and he is now a adjunct professor at UVA, University of Virginia, down in Charlottesville. All of that happened when Jim reached over and said this, when he
Well,
said,
so the conversation finally got around. If you listen long enough, people will tell you everything you need to know. So he finally said, tell me what you guys do. And I looked up at the light and I said, how much does that cost you on a monthly basis? And he said, electricity? I said, yeah. He said, $1,500. I said, that's $1,500. And he whipped out his phone. He says, we got to talk. He said, I got you booked for dinner tomorrow night at my favorite restaurant. And we were cracking up because we were in his restaurant, which wasn't his favorite restaurant. That solved his own. But I didn't go into deregulation, saving your money on your bill, blah, 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 blah.
and you guys might not be able to say, I got 54,000 of them, but you could say, that comes to control by $1 million of those. Right?
Yeah.
It will set you up for what's the company. Be careful because
That you're gonna say, that's what I wanna talk to you about.
if you get a pattern where somebody's asking you, I used to say I work with a company out of Dallas, I'm in a position to do some business around here. About the third time, it's like, I'm not saying that anymore because they always ask me what the company is. And I would tell them it's my company, I'm an independent contractor, consultant, unemployed.
It's not at all that we're not proud of Ambit. I could not be more proud of this company, and I want to make sure all of you go to topambitleaders.com. Everybody needs to have that website as one of your Bible sites. Right on the homepage, there's a 10-minute video of Brian McClure going over the indisputable, irrefutable facts of Ambit Energy. You guys need to know that. You own a business with Ambit Energy. You need to know our history. You need to know our growth. Over time, you'll learn that. When you internalize that, you're going to be very, very proud of this business.
We got Ambit cards when we got started. Just pass this around because I don't have like a wallet full of them. But it doesn't say Ambit. The first one did, and everybody Googled. Everybody thought they knew what it was. I set myself up 500 times, and I finally stopped doing it about 200. When you order your cards, get them from Vistaprint, and they should just have your name, your address, and when I hand that to a lady, I always say my wife's name is right here on it. It's the littlest things that you do, and I mean literally the littlest things that you do. Not that we got to be obsessive about this, but set yourself up for success, not failure. The card just says live life well, time, energy, and the money to enjoy it, and our name and phone number. Period. That's all I want. And the guys, I handed it to people. He says, obviously, I'm supposed to ask, aren't I? Yeah, you do. We'll talk.
But just get confident in what you got your hands on. Practice this invitation. Don't go out and practice it for the first time in a real person. Practice it on that TV. Practice it to your water bottle. Practice it to your cat.
For those of you who
So
have
it
been,
comes out. Julie Rogers used to say she had the smartest cat in all of Ambit Energy. She showed that cat the plan 50 times. She invited it 1,000,000 times. You got to do it so it becomes who you are.
for some of the people that you've already blown it on, call them up and say, listen, I owe you an apology. I was just learning, and I did you a disservice. I do need somebody to practice on, and I might as well practice on somebody who already thinks they know what it is. Please let me just practice. Right? You can't even get in. I won't let you get in. And open the door back up. We've actually sponsored people like that. I think one of the lines in there was, I've shared this with a number of people, and we've had some success with it. And the guy said, you're right.
So let's take 15 seconds because an invitation should just be 15 seconds. Just turn to someone near you. Figure out a way to invite them to take a look at the most amazing business idea in the whole country. Don't use opportunity. Don't use just started. Don't use just be good at that. Don't use the job saving in your gas and electric. Don't practice for a couple minutes. Couple seconds.
I do my name is Tony.
That's the longest 15 seconds we've ever taken. Back around here. I want to say one thing here before we go into the presentation. Make sure you're inviting everybody to take a look at the business, not to become a customer. We all have this tendency when we first get started to go out and grab our first 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 customers. Damian Patrick and Sean Cornett said if I could have every consultant's first 10 customers, if I could have the list of who their first 10 customers are, I'd be a multi-millionaire. Because we're missing some consultants as we're going out and grasping for those first customers. You guys need to immediately learn how to start sharing this business and then let people decide if they want to be a customer or they want to make money. Do they want to make money? Do they want to use a referral program and get 50% off their bill? Or do they just want to save money? If you do it that way, you'll invariably pick up your customers. So what we're going to go into now are, you've got the invitation down.
You're staffing a store. There is no fear. There is no failure. If it's not them, it'll be somebody. You're going through a stack of resumes. It does not matter. Practice. Take out the keywords that you be real careful about the words you say. Their mind goes somewhere.
We're going to talk about the ways to present this business. What I want you to understand is when you're doing a presentation in this business, you don't really have to know a whole lot. If you bring somebody to a weekly business presentation, like we have Wednesday night at the Adams Mark here, or you've got in Erie or Rochester on Thursday night, and they're all over the country, when you bring a guest there, did you do the presentation?
No.
The presenters in the front of the room do it, right? Now, in regards to the weekly presentation, how many of you have brought someone or thought you were going to have someone there and they didn't show up?
All the time.
All the time, right? Okay, so here's my advice for the weekly presentations. If it's a first look, you need to pick your friend up or the person up that you've invited. Grab a bite to eat. If you think, oh my gosh, I can't afford dinner, well, take them to Arby's or do something cheap. The idea is you pick them up and you bring them
Imagine
there.
her saying that.
Not me.
That was the story of my life. Now she's
Take
saying.
me to Arby's, I'd like it the french fries. But my point is, it'll be the best investment you've ever made in your business. Our sponsor took us out to dinner 3 times to get us to a business
The only
presentation.
food we had that.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is for the weekly presentations, we like those back as a second look. That to me is a great validation tool. When you bring someone with you to the weekly business presentation and there's 100, 200, 300 people there, even if there's 50 or 60 people there, it really validates it. People look around the room and they see people they know, they see people who are in college, and they see surgeons and doctors and lawyers there. They see everybody in between and they realize something's going on here. So that's the thing with the business presentation. Pick them up, or if it's a second look, there's like a 90% chance your guest is going to be there because they've already seen it and they want more information. All right? So the other way you can get this business in front of people is Success from Home magazine. Did everybody listen to the team call that we had a week ago with this magazine? Some of you did, some of you didn't. This really is the very only tool you need in your business. When Jim and I got started, this is all we bought, and we continually replenished
We
our
bought
stock.
those business cards. We spent $90 buck a day.
Magazines and a handful of
45 of those business cards. We should have bought the $10 one in Home magazine.
you can get cards really cheap at Vistaprint and make them any design you want. They got a million designs there. But this, we never leave home without this. You see me on an airplane, there's going to be a couple of these in my bag. If I was going to one of our son's soccer games, I had some of these magazines with me. This has sponsored more people than you can imagine as a tool.
I will tell you, don't just hand them out. When you order your Vistaprint stuff, you can order stickers there, sticker in the front, sticker inside, and fold the little where the CD is, and stick a business card in there, and then shut it back up.
This is a presentation and a validation tool. And what Jim was just saying, don't give this to somebody without opening this up. I don't know if it's happened to you, but I know it happened to us. Someone gave it back to us, and we said, did you watch that DVD in there? And they said, I didn't want to mess up the magazine. They didn't want to. Go ahead and mess it up for them. When you give this to somebody, give it with a sense of urgency. It's the only one I've got, or I just have a few of these. I need to get this back within 24 to 72 hours. Don't let it go more than 3 days when you hand this out. I've actually turned a couple pages down here. This is what I want you to read. And then this DVD, one side is a video and one side is an audio. I want you to watch the video, but I do want you to listen to the audio on your way home. You know, if you're on a plane, I give it to somebody, I want you to listen to the audio. The audio is powerful. If people don't get, after listening to Chris and Jerry, what we've got our hands on, this business probably isn't for them. How many of you have listened to the audio? You guys should listen to it on the way home. Those of you that haven't, we listened to it several times because it's really impressive audio. Do you have anything else about this?
Don't just hand them out. We were doing a little presentation the other day, and you guys all know Matt, Chicago Bauer. He had 5 brushes with this business before he finally had somebody stop him long enough to look. The first one was an email. He didn't know what it was about, and he actually went back a year and a half or whatever it was and found the email. I said, really, wait. He had another one.
He found it because he wanted to make sure that the person had followed up with him. Somebody sent him an email, didn't follow up at all. Your fortune is in the follow-up. Okay? So that's the lesson.
So he had a bunch of brushes against it. One guy actually went and threw the magazine in there, and I guess he maybe revisited the office. Matt was on the phone. He kind of pushed the door open, threw a magazine to read that. The third guy was somebody that Matt had actually fired. Now, how much credibility would you have? He had enough. Say, Matt, you don't understand. You have to look at this. And when Matt tells you this, it's like who got his face enough that he fired and said, you gotta look at this. And he knew the kid was a good kid, so he listened to it. He sat there and then freewayed us in. We were zooming down the road, and when they said over 200 meters student housing, I said, no, you don't understand. You are sitting on a gold mine. You bought your last rental property because you'll make more money with this than you ever will waiting for your mortgage to be done so you make your first dollar. And he's kind of thinking, we get there and he's got whiteboards over the whole wall and he's drawing stuff out. Follow up is very important. You have to get it in their hands and they have to see it. The best way to use that magazine isn't to give it to anybody, but it's if you sit down with them and use it as validation.
That's what we're gonna go into next. So sometimes it works when you give it to someone. We always give this to someone after we've done a one-on-one presentation, or we brought them to a weekly business presentation and they're still not quite ready.
And as we started their business.
And always as they start their business, we give them a magazine too. But this is they can go back home and they've got something in their hands that they can actually research. So this is don't ever leave home without these, all right? Now, the ways that we like to present the business best are one-on-one. I know, I'm in between all the course. I always do that. Our one-on-one home shows and using your website. So what we're going to let you know right from the get-go, the way that you do those 3 presentations is the same. Every single one of those presentations are done the exact same way. They're just done with a little different method. In other words, a one-on-one, you're sitting over a coffee table with a person. A home show, you're sitting in a living room probably with 10 people, or you might be in someone's conference room. We've done a lot of those. We've done for busy people like our lawyer. She brings us in at lunch over the conference room and brings 5 people in. Same presentation though.
I like ending up in the kitchen. I think your aunts go up in the kitchen. You get too comfortable in the living room. It's just my personal opinion. You got a big group and you can't fit in the kitchen, it migrates to the living room.
Now the site that we like to use, well, first of all, write this down too. You got topenditleaders.com. I want you to write down, right on the top of that homepage, actually I have to show you, is TV, Ryan TV. Whenever we start a new person, before we go and do a home show with them, we give them this assignment. So you go to topenditleaders.com, you see where it says Ambit TV. You click on Ambit TV, you see where it says Ryan McClure, click on Ryan McClure. And you guys have a plethora of training videos here that you can watch. But if you scroll down on Ryan McClure,
We were already EC when we found this website. And we said, and we said, yeah, we said, no, this is what we're doing.
so
What I want to do, we're kind of.
this is what I want you to do. Position 16. There's 3 videos there. Now it's a little dated. Some of the flash tools that Brian uses, we have better ones now because this was a couple years ago. But watch that, and it'll prepare you for how to do a home show or a one-on-one. It's the same thing. All right. So we always give everybody that homework, but we're going to show you how we do it here now using basically that model.
We're going to give you the overarching premises here. This is how we get it in front of people, whether they're at a distance, whether we're sitting down with them one-on-ones, or whether we're doing a home show. This is the way we show the plan. So we're going to try to give you some of the variables between when you call somebody up and you say, hey, are you at your computer? This is what it's like. And then we're going to tell you how we start the presentation if we're sitting in a one-on-one or in a crowd. And there's a couple different ways that we do this. So
what I'm going to do first is I'm going to pretend like I've been invited to your house or a one-on-one or a home show, and we're going to go over a business presentation. The best business presentation, or the one we're using, is on ambitlifestyle.com. Everybody needs to have that website. It's this page here. This website is a team website. And if people are finding things that they want us to put on there, we're putting them on there. This video that we're going to show you here is the one we're using. When you scroll down on this home page, this is a 5-minute video, 5-minute overview, and then right underneath it is a 12-minute overview.
if you're new and you're watching all the training sites there where they walk you through 8 steps, you can either use this when you're new, or you can be the credibility.
So let's just talk about this for a minute from a home show or one-on-one, and then I'm going to show you how we use it over the phone too. It's the same way, just a little bit different. If if you're brand new, when you go to this website here, ambitlifestyle.com. I know, but I want to show them. Go up under the download tab and see the DVD presentation how to. These are 8 simple steps, like how to show a one-on-one presentation, and that is literally what we do when we show this presentation. A lot of the people we're working with will literally print this out, and they'll take it with them, especially when they're working with their first family and friends, and they'll say, look, I'm just practicing here. And when we get done, we're going to call Ben, or we're going to call Tammy, or we're going to call Tom, or we're going to call Tony. They're setting up the stage for the closing call, and they're going to really just practice with that person by following down through these guidelines here. So we're going to just go ahead and do a little.
If you don't mind, Abbott, I'm gonna. Please. Okay. So, Abbott's on my list, and I clear a little bit of time. I text somebody. I've got 5 people on group text, and I text them that I'm starting some presentation, or I'm doing some, I'll call it, whatever it is. I put it out there. Anybody available for? So that's premise. So I'm calling my friend Abbott. Sense of urgency. I'm in a rush now. I want to make sure husband and wife are there. I'm stacking the cards in my favor, but I'm working at a distance, and then we'll role play if we were actually coming to your house. Hey, Abbott, Jim Mason here. Listen,
Wait, are you doing it over the phone?
I'm doing over the
So
phone.
let's do the in-person one first.
Sure.
I want to do it for like next person.
Yeah, okay. I'm coming over to your house, and your wife's there. Okay? You don't mind? I will tell you, and if there's a spouse involved, make sure that your odds go up very dramatically. Somebody who hasn't seen it will take the one out that has seen it as they try to explain it to the one that hasn't. So, and always try to make sure you're related to the decision maker in the house. You don't know who that is.
We're at home, Shannon.
Hi, Evan. I know we haven't seen each other in a while. I'd love to catch up with you. Well, we're gonna get to this in a second, but tell me a little bit about what's going on. Tell me what's going on.
I'm just trying to learn to see what this is.
If it's somebody that I'm familiar with, we'll visit a little bit, we'll make some small talk, and we'll get comfortable. But really, all I'm doing is listening for what he says so I can position my dialogue. The short version of that is, yeah, that's exactly where I was at. You follow what I'm saying? In other words, I want to empathize with him. I want to get over there. If it's a doctor, I tell him I was a small business owner. I got tired of the paperwork. I was fed up with the rules, the regulations, the risk, and he's shaking his head. We have 70 grand come in and 80 grand go out, and we go, yeah, I know that. And we're sitting there trying to solve the same problem, and this is what I found. So I segue into the magazine. If it's a carpenter guy, a landscaper like I was, I tell him, how's that feel? Be 50 working like this. We're related. So the whole purpose of that small talk is to be on the same side of the table.
What do you do now? I don't even know. You coach.
Teacher and coach.
What is grade you teach?
K-3.
You teach them all? You coach them all? I said that's a pleasure and a nightmare. Do you have your summers off?
Oh, yeah.
What do you have to work in the summer?
Umpire and work camps in the summer.
What kind of stuff?
Pro.
Awesome. You should have figured for somebody with coaching. Yeah. I also teach. I teach just like the children how to read. I come into the schools and I pull them out. It's pleasure, but it also is really challenging. So we were looking for ways to sort of supplement our retirement. We're going into retirement and just didn't have a lot of money set aside. Are you all set for your retirement? You pretty much got it all set. Don't need any extra money.
It'd be nice.
It'd be nice.
This,
Go ahead.
this might be a vehicle where you could, some of the people that you work with, you can help them find the coaches that are really good mentors. They're always trying to help other people.
So we're going to kind of present and teach at the same time. You just have to relate to who you're talking to. So I know he not only teaches, but he's an umpire. Just kids? No kids. That's good. You can make all decisions and keep all the money yourself. So you just gotta relate to who you're talking to. It's really, really important. That first little step is one that most of us miss. We come in and we're going to show them the best things in sliced white bread, and their
You're
wall
not
goes
listening.
up.
You're selling until you're related. If you don't relate, they're not with you.
And sometimes you'll be going in and doing that small talk in the beginning, and you can just tell, like the other day we were working, was it on the phone or was it in person? And you just were looking.
I handed Tim the phone. I said, I'm getting nowhere with it. Handed it up.
Because, certain people relate differently to certain people. So you may find that you're just not relating. You got to switch tack. And what I mean is, if you're a really green person, say you're really, really analytical, and you think everybody in the world wants to know all the details, and they really could care less about the details, they just want to know how they're going to have fun, you got to drop your details.
There's a book called 7 Seconds to Success with People. It not only goes over some real good guidelines for trying to figure out the type of person you're working with. There's 25 different other styles of those books listed in there. So if one's colors and one's numbers and one's whatever, you find the one that works for you. But learn to figure out who they are. You'll hear it in their dialogue. If they're an auditory learner, they'll say, I hear what you're saying. If they're a visual learner, they'll say, I see what you're saying. If you're not studying this stuff, you're leaving a lot of meat on the table. So it doesn't happen overnight. You don't have to learn it before you start. Just be aware there's a lot of levels of stuff. So and as I talk to Abbott, I get a little sense of where he's at, and then I say, that's where I was at. And ironically, a good friend of mine drove 30 miles out of his way and handed me this magazine. This magazine talks about our company, Ambit Energy, and primarily with deregulation. It's not written by Ambit, it's written about Ambit.
That's the key point.
It's actually written by a fellow named Darren Hart. He writes Success and Success from Home. Success magazine would feature publicly traded companies, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Donald Trump would be on the front. What's that say? It's a credible magazine. I mean, why did I say it? Credible magazine. Success from Home features home-based businesses, things like average people could buy, maybe Tim Hortons and Starbucks. And Ambit's been featured 4 years in a row. This is actually the corporate cover. This is the founder and co-founder. If you go to Barnes & Noble November, this is the issue you would have found there. This is a regional cover, kind of like the Sports Illustrated Pittsburgh Steelers edition. This would be all the local people working with. Matter of fact, this here is
One cover.
This year's Ben Carey. As soon as we get done with this, we're going to give Ben a call and get all our questions answered. Now,
You see what
why
you
is
just
there
did there?
two covers? Pittsburgh edition, Western New York, where the teams are, just so everybody knows it. So as soon as we're done, we're going to give Ben a call and get all our questions answered. We're going to talk a little bit about the founder and co-founder, and then should I roll through? Yeah. Okay. This fellow here is Jerry Thompson. He comes from a long line of success. His family actually pioneered the Southland Corporation. It's what we know as 7-Eleven. There's 50,000 of them worldwide. It's the largest franchise model in history. And he started working with his uncle and his granddad when he was this big in the States. His equivalent to blocks of ice. He was real successful in deregulation with a company called Caprock Communications, fiber optics and bandwidth before anybody knew what the internet was. Went all the way from Louisiana, Texas, and New Mexico, and sold it for $680 million in the blink of a lifetime. And I think about running a hose across the street with all the rules and regulations. Can you imagine accomplishing that sort of a business? This other fellow comes from a long line of success. He was very successful in telecom. We're talking about deregulation. It's happened with trucking, airlines, railroads, and telecom. And now it's energy's turn. It's just history repeating itself. He joined a company that was doing $33 million. It was Excel, and it became the 4th largest telecom in the country. It very, very quickly, there was Excel, AT&T, Sprint, and MCI. AT&T. And it's just a little different when they're doing it in one-on-one. These two guys got together in 2006, and they recognized the window of opportunity was opening up in the energy market, and they decided to start a company called Ambit Energy. By 2010, they were recognized in this magazine. Has anybody heard of this magazine? It's like Fortune, Kiplinger's. It's a trade journal, and every single year they do a 3-year look back on privately held companies, and they rank them according to growth. To give you an idea, companies like, have you ever heard of Microsoft? They were number 78 when they did this list. And there's Ambit Energy, #1 fastest growing company in the United States in 2010. On revenues of $400 million, they have 20,369% growth rate. Now, everything I'm saying is on that little video with people on it.
That's what I was going to say there. So what Jim did there is all he did is talk about Success from Home magazine.
Well, I usually wrap this up. You think with that kind of success, or with that kind of what's going on in the economy, this would be front page news. And that's when I handed off to Kim, and she says, ironically, it is.
Or you could say it yourself if you were there by yourself. Everything Jim just said to you about Chris and Jerry and about what they've accomplished is on that 8 steps. It tells you what to say about Chris and Jerry. So that's setting the stage and then flashing some flash tools. And you'll see that on System 16. Brian will do the same thing. He'll flash the SMU costs. He might flash the Wall Street Journal article. He might flash now J.D. Power and Associates, which is something you guys should all have a copy of. These are the credibility tools. We just wanted you to know, Agatha, this is an amazing company. It's $1 billion company. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into the video. If you aren't comfortable, because a lot of people just get started and they're not quite comfortable with the credibility of Ambit, you're going to start your presentation this way, which is the same way you would start it if you were on the phone. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
I'd like to, as I'm wrapping that up, I share all this information with you just so you understand the credibility of the company and what we've got our hands on. I'd like to go into the fact that they were on track to do $1 billion partially deployed in just a handful of states and have recently done that. They did it faster than Apple, Dell, Walmart, Microsoft. Again, people understand what we've done, and we did it on a tiny, tiny part of the market.
Now, it's easy for us to rattle off those facts because we've been doing it over and over. And as you guys get familiar with this business, you'll also get familiar with those facts, the indisputable facts of Ambit Energy. Who's watched this video? Who hasn't watched it?
Don't wait your
How, you guys want to do it in 5 minutes? Do I need to play it? I'm going to play this because this is a good way.
Now think how much better Pete Moses does this than Jim Mason.
So, you know, hi Abbott, how are you? Teacher, coach, blah, blah, blah. This is what we do. I think we got something you really might be interested in. I'm just going to start this. I want you to kind of get familiar with the company that we're talking about and actually what's going on here in the country. It'll take about 5 minutes.
Hello, my name is Pete Moggins. The person that asked you to watch this video did so for one single purpose, to try to encourage you to investigate what may be the greatest financial opportunity of our day. Every now and then something happens in the free enterprise system that literally revolutionizes an industry. Henry Ford revolutionized the auto industry, Ray Kroc the fast food industry, Bill Gates the computer industry, and on and on. When an industry-changing event takes place, and the wealth in that industry is repositioned, there's always a window of opportunity when an average and ordinary individual can reap major financial rewards. But the individual must know, they must be aware, they must know the event is taking place. You know, it's truly